on paper, these two watches couldn't be further apart. But is that reality? Welcome back to SamMobile TV. You're here with Daniel. Let's compare the Galaxy Watch 7 to the Galaxy Watch Ultra. These are two completely different interpretations of a smartwatch. The design of them could not be further apart in terms of a smartwatch offering. The Galaxy Watch 7, depending on the band that you've got on there, is minimal and pretty traditional in terms of a smartwatch. There's nothing too flashy about it, again, down to the band. And it's really just a screen that is just flat and there's nothing really to it. It's not trying to be too much more than what it is. The Watch Ultra, on the other hand, literally on my other hand, makes its presence known. It's got a massive watch face. It's got big sort of chunky titanium wrapping around in the casing. You're making a statement when you wear this. It is Ultra to match its Ultra name. Depending on your personality, pretty much would be down to what style you prefer. Whether you want the sleek, light, unobtrusive aluminium casing, something that doesn't look like a big piece of technology on your wrist and is just there kind of just to support you in your everyday life. That's what the Watch 7 is. Whereas the Ultra, you could be someone who's showy and flashy and wants to show people that you're wearing something big and obtrusive on your wrist. So depending on your personality would be which side of the fence you fall on with design. Let me know which design you prefer, if you're the sleek and minimalist or if you're the loud and in charge with the Watch Ultra. Obviously the materials are different. The Watch Ultra has titanium around the case. It's got 10 ATM to go alongside the IP68. The Watch 7 is no slouch for durability. Yes, it uses aluminium instead of titanium, but it is also still 5 ATM plus IP68. So depending on your usage, that could be enough. I know for myself, that durability is plenty in terms of water resistance goes, whereas the Ultra is really more for that like deep sea going underwater, like deep, like 100 meters versus 50. Depending on what you need, you might not need the durability that this gives you. Something to consider. As far as the bands of the watches go, there's two different approaches. The Watch 7 sticks with the traditional 20mm pin connector. Samsung have put the buttons to release the pin, but it is still a pin. So you still can buy any sort of 20mm watch band off the shelf. It doesn't even need to be a smartwatch band. It can be anything because it supports it. The Watch Ultra, on the other side, has a push and release mechanism with no pins involved whatsoever. So when you release it from the holding that it's in, you can only swap it out for Watch Ultra bands. So you can't just go and get an off-the-shelf 20mm band anymore because you have to go and get purpose-built bands for the Galaxy Watch Ultra. So that could be a bit of a difference as well, depending on what it is you like with watches. If you like swapping out bands for more traditional watch bands, then you might think the Watch 7 is better. Otherwise, if you're happy with the stock band or you like the band that Samsung make, the Watch Ultra could be your choice. I've got the 40mm, so I couldn't have picked the smaller Watch 7 in terms of battery size to compare the battery performance between these two. But in saying that, I haven't actually noticed this to be terrible on battery. I used it side by side concurrently. I ran it a couple of times and not just once. And pretty much what I noticed on average was that the Watch 7 more or less kept up with the Watch Ultra. So I had some intervals that I wanted to check it at, just random, just because I think most people will check their watch at random points throughout the day. It's not going to be super calculated. After 18 hours, the Watch Ultra was down to 66%. The Watch 7 was down to 58%. At first, they were keeping up. The Watch 7 was pretty much, I would say, doing better. But then as the day sort of wore on and the bigger battery of the Watch Ultra sort of took charge, I noticed there being a gap that started opening up. Because the next time I decided to sort of properly check it was a day and 15 hours. So almost 24 hours later. The Watch Ultra was down to 12% and the Watch 7 was down to 4%. So it was basically about to run out. And I didn't really do anything too strenuous with both of them. I ran exercises and health functions and all that sort of stuff, convenient notifications. This was paired to my S24 Ultra, this being paired to my Fold 6. Both of them are set up the same. All is in notifications, messages, emails, all of it coming through at the exact same time. And that was a good barometer for me over sort of how they respond to those situations. In terms of general usage and performance, They're both running the same processor, but they do have fundamental differences in how you can interact with them. The Watch Ultra, Samsung have decided to put in something called Quick Button. This Quick Button can get assigned shortcuts to sort of actions. In the settings, it's called Quick Button, then Action, which it should just be called an Action Button, but I can see that Samsung wanted to maybe avoid that. I assign it to Water Lock, and I love that because I simply just have to press the button and Water Lock is on. With the Watch 7, to activate Water Lock, I have to swipe down, go through the quick panel, find the Water Lock and turn it on. It's not that it's that much longer. It's that when you have wet hands, trying to activate a touchscreen can be a little bit finicky. So having a quick button that's dedicated exactly for that purpose, I love it. You can assign it to other things, of course, but this is my use for it. The Watch 7 doesn't have any of that. It's just as plain as normal as can be. Something I've noticed too is that they both have digital touch bezels, but the Watch Ultra is far better. I really enjoy how you basically just touch the raised edge and sort of rotate through, and you feel sort of the haptic feedback sort of as you're sort of rotating through. The Watch 7 has haptic feedback as well, but with no sort of defined area from a physical standpoint, it's a little bit more finicky and the haptics aren't as good. I imagine that's probably down to space because the Watch 7's a bit smaller, but you still notice it. So if you like good haptics and good vibration feedback and you prefer a better touch bezel, the Watch Ultra, that's your go. The thing is though, as far as other performance goes, the Watch Ultra only comes in an LTE variant. LTE and Bluetooth, I should say. You don't need to have LTE. Whereas the Watch 7, sort of you can get either Bluetooth only or Bluetooth and LTE. So if you don't need LTE, you'll be paying a lot more for an LTE watch when you don't need it. So potentially, again, you can steer yourself away from the Watch Ultra onto the Watch 7 for that type of thing. As far as health functionality goes, they pretty much offer the same product. They both have the same new sensors on the back. Both bring with it the energy score that Samsung have brought in with Galaxy AI, sort of culminate all of your statistics from sleep and activity data and give you an energy score each morning. They both can do that. So you're not actually missing out on any of the health functionality and the health tracking by going the Watch 7 over the Watch Ultra. The only thing you'll be missing is things like the bigger screen, the bigger, brighter display, and the extra durability that this big Ultra smartwatch gives you. And that's really the difference, is that big Ultra sort of look about it and feel. This makes a statement on your wrist. It's got big, giant numbers in terms of battery, 3000 nit brightness display, and it sort of also has big features to sort of support that. The Watch 7, whilst it doesn't have those big, giant numbers, actually holds up really well if all you're looking for is functionality and not necessarily a statement piece. I would say it has about 90% of what the Ultra does in terms of functions. You don't have the 10 ATM, you don't have the titanium, and you'd lose out on the quick button, and it's got an inferior touch bezel and haptic feedback. But outside of that, that's really like luxury Ultra items that this gives you, and you pay a premium for it. Whereas with the Watch 7, you can get pretty much most of what this does at a fraction of that price. If you don't like or need this size of smartwatch, the Galaxy Watch 7 is a fantastic option for you to pick up. I would absolutely recommend it to anyone who's potentially looking for a smartwatch, don't have this big giant budget, and they like something sleek and sort of understated on their wrist. You might just not like the orange, but that's up to you. Hit subscribe to SamMobile TV. Go check us out on our website. Also find us on plenty of all the other social platforms, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.